Last week we spoke to Myrtle Clark of Fields of Green for talking about the confusion around the gazetted ban on cannabis edibles. Last week reported that the Minister of Health, Aaron Motsoaledi, announced the prohibition on the sale, importation, and the manufacture of foodstuff containing any part of the plant or component derived from the genus cannabis. There appeared to be no explanation, but there has been some comment from the Department of Health spokesperson on this. But I'll speak to Dr Anban Pillay, Deputy Director General for the Health Department, which focuses on regulations. Good morning, Dr Anban. Really appreciate your time. What has been the legal status of edible cannabis foodstuff ever since the 2018 judgment in the Constitutional Court on the personal consumption of cannabis?
Well, I think in terms of the personal consumption of cannabis, that's largely covered in terms of the judgment that the Constitutional Court issued. But this particular matter that relates to the regulations of cannabis in food was an area of debate and a bit of a lacuna, because we will often receive the food coming through being imported that contained various cannabis products within them, and they were classified as food and therefore fell outside the usual regulatory approach to manage the risk relating to such products. And so what we wanted to do was make sure that there is one system for the regulation of foods containing cannabis rather than having them classified as food, because as you know, when you import food, there is no regulatory requirements as such in terms of evaluation, testing.
But what about food that contains cannabis that is manufactured in South Africa?
Yeah, so we will through additional regulations then deal with that in terms of how we would allow those to be sold, what would be the regulatory system, etc. But certainly our approach is to get to the global best standard, which is a food containing cannabis should be evaluated and approved for sale.
Okay, because I can appreciate, apologies, Doctor, we're running out of time, but I can appreciate, and I fully appreciate some of my concerns in terms of the availability of cannabis products myself. I can appreciate that packaging, labeling, the absence of child-proof containers. That I appreciate, because I believe we have to control cannabis like we control any other controlled substance like alcohol, cigarettes. Keep it away from those vulnerable. So you're saying that regulations could be submitted that says, well, let's develop a framework for how we treat food that contains cannabis, and we look at packaging, labeling, intensity, the way it is packaged and managed in terms of containers, etc. So that could be introduced to have him back on shelves again.
Exactly, yes. So the idea is to make sure that they are regulated more effectively than the current mechanisms that exist, because they're just creating a loophole for people that don't want to comply and pose the risks. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen media reports of children falling ill consuming products that contain cannabis in various forms, and so we need to deal with those kinds of risks. Yeah.
Dr. Anban Pillay, really appreciate your time. Just after 7 o'clock, time now for Eyewitness News, and here's Orally Kalenga.